Hey guys, welcome back. Dr. D in a Dungeon and my other shop dog, Takita. She actually is the boss of the house. So today we are building bookshelves. And so we got a pretty large library. And then Cindy moved in and she has a fairly substantial book collection. And long story short, I don't have enough shelves. And you know, if you look at what's readily available, it's cheap particle board junk, and it's not going to last, especially when it's under a full load. And so for about 500 bucks, I can build like 72 square feet of shelves, and that's what we're looking at. So the shelf that we're building has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shelves. I had to count that again. Six shelves. They're each about 15 inches in height, except for the top one, which is just a little, it's 14 3/8, I think. And so what does it take to do this? Honestly, not a lot. So we'll talk about my tools. Takita will point them out for us. Come on up here and take a look. So I made 2 spacers. These are 1x4s, and these are 15 inches in length, and I use these to set the spacing on my shelves. Obviously you need a tape measure. I'm using 2-inch coarse threaded drywall screws, pencil. I use 2 clamps. Takita's cold. It's not that cold, sweetie. I have 3 squares. You could get by with just one, but when you see what I'm doing with them, I think it'll make more sense into why I have 3. This one sets my screw holes. This one is for squaring the shelves when I'm actually screwing them. And this one is for laying out lines. And then I have 2 drills. And again, you know, you don't necessarily have to have 2 drills. Pardon my other dog who's getting sick because she eats crap off the floor. Chalupa, why? Just why? So I have 2 drills, and so here we are. So let's talk about the layout of the shelf of the bookcase. So 15-inch shelves. Come on around here. Whoops! And I ran into something. And then what I've got here is I've got a 3.5-inch offset because I want to put put a piece of molding on there, and the molding that I want to put is 3.5 inches, and so that way it'll be sit nice and flush with the bottom of the shelf, and we'll cover up the bottom of this. A lot of times people will just put them down here on the very bottom, but it doesn't look quite as nice, and you know, gets it up off. All right, so let's talk about materials. Come back over here, and then the easiest thing to do is to go to Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever. I bought the mid-grade cabinet, 3/4 inch plywood, and I had them ripped at 11 7/8 inches. And so that wound up being 4 cuts on a board. And so all of these are the same size. All right. At 11 7/8, if they had a normal size blade on there, it would have worked out where the top of them wouldn't have even cut. But honestly, it worked out better because all 4 pieces that came off of there got cut top and bottom. And so it makes nice square pieces of wood. And then for backer material, come on over here. Luan is what I use. It's fairly inexpensive. It used to be about $14 a piece. Now it's $24. But it's fairly inexpensive, it stains nicely, and it's fairly durable. And so I'll use that as a backer. These shelves are 36 inches by 8 foot, so 36 by 96. And these will actually just get stapled right on the back, and that actually will help me square up the shelf when I staple that in the back. So we'll come back here in just a little bit, and I'll show you how we do this. Hey folks, Dr. D in a Dungeon back again. And so just showing you a quick and easy way to get. So when I designed the bookcases, the top piece is 36 inches across because I wanted 36-inch bookcases. And then, so if you put the shelves in the middle of that, you got to take off 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1.5 inches. So I need 34.5-inch pieces for the interior shelves. And so basically the easiest way that I found to do this, cut one master, and then I just flush it up on both sides, and then I'm going to actually just bring it up and I will touch the blade so there's just a little bit of friction and push everything up tight, and then I take my master off and we cut. All right, and so when you're doing this, keep that one master board and you do all of your measurements, all of your cutting from that one. If I kept taking the next one that I cut and I would use it, you start introducing cumulative error, right? So if you use that master cut, is there some variation? Yeah, there's some very slight variation from piece to piece, but it's very small. But if I kept shifting the board that I used, well, then that builds a little bit of error, a little bit of error, a little bit of error, and then before you know it, you have a lot of error. All right, so that's it for now. Hey folks, welcome back. You're probably wondering why I'm doing this on my kitchen island. Well, I don't have a table big enough in the shop to actually do this, and so I was actually doing it on the floor, but I've got some back issues, and I thought, man, I'll just clean off the island, and it's working pretty well. It's right at chest level, so I can do what I need to do. All right, so come on around here. What I've done is I went ahead and laid a 3/4 inch thick board across here, marked. This is all going to get stained, so you'll never see the marks. And then I use this first square. That is how I decide where those the edge drills go, right? And I just drill right in the little notch. And so that way I can get really, really consistent. The middle one, I just eyeball, and for the most part, they're good. I looked on the other one, I got one that's definitely off, but all the rest are pretty close. You know, it is what it is. You'll never see these screws, but you know, I try to do a pretty good job. So what I'm gonna do here is, since these are already marked and pre-drilled, it reduces splitting in the top board. And what I wanna do is I wanna get as close to 90 degrees as I can get here. And then I'll go ahead and screw this side in, I'll shift the other one around, and then we'll go to the other side and we'll set the base in. So, be back in just a moment. Go down there. Okay, so here's where the other square comes in. I'm using this one just to kind of set my 90 degree. It needs to come over that way just a little bit. Keep coming. There you go. All right, and then once I get the top set, and again, these are already pre-drilled, so it saves a little bit of trouble. Board shifted on me just a little bit. It is what it is. Again, you'll never see these, but because they're all going to be butted right up next to each other. Go. And no need to countersink the bits, they just sink right, the screw heads, they just sink right in. Easy peasy. All right. Let's come back over this one. That one shifted just a hair. All right, so yeah, those 2-inch screws doing a really good job of anchoring it. Hi folks, welcome back. All right, so now we're setting the rebate for that top shelf. And so again, I've got the actual dimensions is 3.5 inch. It will be the dimensions of the trim that I've got here, the same as a one before. All right, and so what I'm doing here is I'll just flush this up. Mark. All right, so that is the top. That's where the top of the shelf is going to be. And so now I'm just going to set this in here and I'll mark the other side of it and then we'll drill it. And if I had a little longer square, that would be even better for this, but I don't have one. All right, so I've got that, and then I'm gonna use my square and my drill. And pull this off. This is really great being able to work up, you know, where I don't have to bend over. So there it is. And then I can do the bottom two. And like I said, that center one, I'm just gonna eyeball it. Doesn't really matter. All right, and then I'm gonna do the same on this side. I'll come back in a bit. All right, here's where this square comes in handy again. So what I went ahead is I lined up the top edges in between the marked lines that I did, went ahead and screwed it so it's nice and flush. This is one of the benefits of having a nice flat surface to work on, is that, you know, everything is reasonably flat. And of all the bookcases that I've built in my lifetime, so far these are turning out to be one of the nicer sets. Anyhow, so I've got that. Now when I do this, this should fall in line with the marks, right? And we're a little out, but that's okay, because square is a relative term. There we go. All right, and I do the bottom sides on both of those, and then I'm just going to double check on this side. And I can already see this one is lining up nicely and is nice and plumb. So I'll put 2 more screws in each side and then this shelf is done. All right, folks, so all of the shelves are set at the same increment. It's 15 inches. And basically what I did is I cut 2 pieces of 1x4 that are 15 inches long. And I just use these then as spacers. And so this is where this other longer square comes in. This is an old carpenter square. My dad had this for as long as I can remember. It's older than I am. You can pick these up at garage sales for, you know, $1 or $2 all day long. You know, Harbor Freight still sells similar things. Squares are not something that I buy at Harbor Freight. You know, your mileage may vary, but you know, it just is what it is. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm just squaring this up on the board as well as this edge. And so now I've got that, I lock that in, and I'll make my mark. All right, so that gives me my bottom mark. And then, yeah, you've seen this before. I want to make the other mark. And now I have my area templated. All right, really important note. People who drill on their tables are dumb. All right, some people do it all the time. I don't. I have the depth of my drill set so that when I'm all the way down, it still won't go into the top. And you can see that I'm sitting up on 3/4 inch spacers. All right, and so again, I use this. And that gets me my end pieces. So those will all be really nice. And then again, I'm just picking the center by eyeball. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side, and then we'll put in a shelf. All right, so all those holes are drilled, and you know, some people will probably say, "Oh, why are you drilling from the inside? Because it flakes out." Really, what happens is once the head of the screw sinks down below, you can't even tell. I mean, you can look at those; it's nice and smooth, not bad at all. And again, you know, this isn't high dollar cabinet making. This is Doc D cabinet making, which is better than most, but it's certainly not a $50 an hour trim carpenter. All right, so just set that on there. I'm going to do the same over there. And in case you're wondering, the stain color on this piece of 1x4 is what these will all be stained as. All right, so those are there. Slide stuff out of the way, and then just gonna grab one of my shelves. And literally slide it into position. All right, and then I'm not going to worry too much about how plumb it is right now, so long as this top edge is nice and flush. I'll go ahead and screw it in. I'll screw the other side in, and then I'll drop these down and do the bottom the exact same way as what we're doing here. And then I'll put in the center screw. And that way everything's nice and square and nice and plumb.
There.
Can you see me? Mm-hmm. All right, folks, so time lapse there, you got the all the shells put in, and for the back, I'm just using a Bauer stapler. I don't even know what size staples. They're pretty substantial, 1.5 inches or so, I guess, and it just gives a little bit more rigidity to the whole structure of it. With the staples being as long as they are, I had to be really careful not to get too close to an edge or they will pop out. So far, I've had pretty good luck. What I'm seeing as I put this top on is that there's a little bit of waviness to the sides, and so I'm going to center up the top, I'll staple it, and then I'll just kind of work down one side, and then I'll work down the other side. You can time lapse it. Hey, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is I'm going to go ahead and put a series of staples across the back on this. It'll just add a little bit more stability as it shifts left to right, and especially when we start getting a little bit of load of books on it. I've done this before. It really tightens it up. Right now it's pretty sturdy, but it's going to be really sturdy. And all I'm doing is using a chalk line, and we'll go from side to side and just mark it. I'm using red chalk. That dark stain will cover right over the top of it. Most of the chalk line will be on the back, which we'll never see, and I'm not bothering the stain. So back to time lapse. All right, there we go. So I don't know, about 15 minutes or so to put one together. It's not real time consuming, a little bit tedious, but let's take a quick look around. You want to take a look. I'm not seeing any blown out staples. I'm not seeing any blown out screws. Yeah, I think we did a good job on that one. So that's 2 of 5. Hey folks, Dr. in a Dungeon. Just finishing up this project, and just wanted to give you a final look at it. We were having some camera issues, so I actually did not get the video footage of assembling these and then also putting the fascia boards on there. But nothing special about it. They're just mitered corners, and I did do these as a solid shelf for a reason, and I built all my other bookshelves. Take a quick turn around, as movable, and you can see that for the most part the ones that are split up into 2-foot sections did okay. But if we look over here, we can see that I actually have 2 that are 4-foot sections, and those are not holding up very well. So I just want to head away from the movable shelves and went with fixed shelves, and turned out very well. I'm very happy, and I think that Cindy is very happy. Go stand next to your bookshelves. Everybody say happy birthday to Cindy. Happy birthday, love.